Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of ERG TV. I'm KG, Chief Visionary Officer in Light and Realty Group, and we got a special guest today. Jose P's in the house.
Hey, how's
Let
it
me
going?
do it. Jose Pimienta.
That's right. You got it good.
See, I
First
got
try.
it. I was just out with this guy. When were we out?
Tuesday night.
Yeah. Where were we?
We're at Pfizer Forum watching the Bucks beat the Pacers.
Yes. He surprised me. What time did you text me? Around 2 o'clock or
2
something?
o'clock. Yeah, he was like, I got an extra ticket. You want to come?
Yeah.
And he did not disappoint. He's just like, he said, let me check, which means let me talk to my wife real quick.
Right. Pretty much. And I got where are you going and who are you going with? And I was like, Jose. And who else? Jose. But who else? Jose.
3 Jose's.
Right. 3 Jose's. Right. But that was fun. You had that little hookup up in the, what do they call it? The Ultra Lounges up there. Had some good food. Met up with this guy knows everybody in the city.
Oh yeah, I introduced you to my peeps.
Yeah, who we got? Let's shout them out. We got Bobby and Jack. They own the Oak Barrel.
Robert, Monterey Market.
Yeah.
Jeff, my People State Bank.
Right.
Who else was there?
It was good.
Well, you knew somebody in the group.
Yeah.
Worked with you at Keller Williams.
Yep.
So yeah, no, but usually we have a bigger. Oh, Dimitri. That was the one I'm missing.
Dimitri. That's right.
Yeah, he's he does concrete polish, man. So
right.
Yeah, I know a lot of business owners in the field that I work in, and so they're always a good group of guys to hang out with and enjoy a Bucks game, Brewers game, Packers game.
So let's just catch the world up on you. So what's your main job right now? What are you doing?
So I'm a commercial lender with People State Bank. So I do all types of commercial loans, working with different types of businesses, investors, things of that nature.
Right. Mostly investors?
No, actually, no. I
Okay.
do a lot of owner-occupied. We actually,
Got it.
as the bank, you prefer owner-occupied, but
Correct.
we have different percentages that we can do in each industry, and so we're not saturated in one or the other.
That's right. That's good. And you're the pres of NAHREP. That's what we're going to talk about today. Mostly, we're going to cover NAHREP, National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. I'm the Government Affairs Director. They call it a GAD. They were calling us GADsters when we were in,
That's right.
in D.C. So I kind of wanted to go over, catch up, talk about that trip we had, some of our initiatives. You're the president. How long you been with NAHREP?
So this is my 3rd year.
Okay.
So I actually started as a GAD.
Oh, you did
Yeah.
start as a
And
GAD.
I became a vice president and then now president.
Who was pres when you were the GAD?
That
Remember?
was Pedro and Jose, because I was GAD for part of a year and then the full year.
Got it.
So Pedro for part of it and then Jose Flores
Right.
for the full year.
Yep. And Jose hit me up last year. He's like, hey, you should look at this. And I did. And here I am.
Right. Exactly.
Right. And then Pedro, now he's on a national level, right? Didn't he move up to a national type position?
Yeah, he's part of the national either board, I believe, for NAHREP. So he's
Right.
at every convention helping that set up and stuff like that.
Right. So what made you want to get involved with it?
Initially, it was my brother-in-law was asked to join the board, and he told me about it and everything else. I told him I would be interested. I submitted my resume, my headshot, everything else, and things of that nature. And then I got voted on. And
so is it kind of, were there other people that wanted to be in that position at the time?
At the time, it was relatively new.
Okay.
So it was kind of more like filling the board. And
Got
they just
it.
wanted to make sure that you would be a good fit.
Got it.
So that's how I
did
got
you
introduced.
kind of do some research on NAHREP? You're like, all right, what is this NAHREP and what's their goals? What are they trying to accomplish? What hit your heart that you wanted to be part of it?
Yeah, so Milwaukee Chapter didn't exist. They were starting it kind of. So,
Okay.
So it was not like I could look to see what the Milwaukee Chapter was doing.
Right.
But I can look at the National Chapter and see what they were advocating for and everything else, and then I can see, there's other chapters in other cities who've been around for a while and things
Chicago's
like that.
been there a while,
exactly.
right?
So
Yeah.
the events they were throwing. So they were like, oh, you should come out check out a Chicago event and things like that nature.
So did you do that? Did you go see an event?
Yeah, I went to a Chicago NAHREP event and
Pretty
met some
good
people.
stuff?
Yeah, so then I was just like, okay, yeah.
I met we both bumped into people in D.C. from Chicago, and they really seem to have it going good there, right?
Yeah, and it's a bigger demographic in terms of the Latino
I
market.
think they have several.
Yeah,
they have a
three-
couple,
three
three
chapters.
there.
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Where
like-
we have
so
one.
they divide it. Yeah, No,
That's
exactly.
good.
You know, demographics matter, so obviously you
Right.
need to have that many people to pull from. So
That's right.
we are a smaller city, but that's okay. That's I kind of like it that way, but
Right.
you know, that's my preference.
DC. Let's just talk about that. That was fun for me. That was my first event. Everybody's like, this is the Super Bowl for the GADs, the government affairs directors. They kind of let me lead in some ways where, you know, you as the president got to kind of hang back a little bit on this one. We had some real good experiences. We met some powerful people. You know, everybody in that room was big at what they do, right? So for me, you know, I met everybody in Milwaukee and I kind of got the gist of what we were doing, but going to that national event was like, all right, this is because the owner was there, and I mean, it was pretty powerful for me.
Yeah, and that's what I think big thing that attracts people to go, like people that haven't been to the conferences, and why you want to go is like these are like the top people in their field in terms of what they do. And so being in a room, hearing how they got there, what's the secret, you know, a lot of it's hard work, but there's other things that they do in terms of connections and things of that nature that really just expand their business just by who they connect with, you know?
Right.
So you went to the Super Bowl, obviously, because you're in Washington, D.C. It's kind of the powerhouse of where power comes from, right? They make decisions on laws, on zone, or that's the local, but like they have a huge control on power in terms of the national level, and that's what NAHREP advocates for in their policies. But then the next one is Latitude in San Diego.
I saw the registration just opened for that. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Right.
And
you signed up yet?
Not yet. But I got my flights already.
I still got to get my reimbursement going from the last one. I haven't filled the link out yet.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I got to send you that link. So.
Yeah. No, I think you probably did already.
Yeah, but I'll send you the one that gets you directly there.
Right.
But
that's exciting because that's in San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego, and that one is more of it combines not only NAHREP, but it combines Latitude and Latitude Ventures. And so there you'll see, you know, kind of what you saw in DC, but then you'll see it times 10 because it's so many more people.
Okay, bigger.
You'll have celebrities. You have
right. I think I heard was Jennifer Lopez and some people there.
Oscar De La Hoya. You have Emilio Estevez, because a lot of them are actually part of Latitude.
Right.
And new last year when I went was awesome is they actually started funding Latino-owned businesses. So they had businesses come out and like do their sales pitch and everything else.
That's good.
And they've already funded quite a bit, like in the millions of dollars on these startups.
It opened my eyes because I'll be honest, I didn't know I liked the mission. When I signed up, I was like, I like the mission, right? Home ownership, Latino community. I was behind that. But when Gary Acosta was speaking, and then he has the ability to interview presidents. He interviewed Bush.
Yep.
He interviewed Obama.
Yep.
And they don't just go let anybody interview them.
No, they'll do their in-depth research about the organization and all that stuff because of just how they align and questions you'll ask, and just are you a legitimate organization? And they've been around for a while, and they've grown exponentially. We
got to see the new president inducted. Gosh, her story was, her resume, it's hard to match that, especially the philanthropical part, hard word to say, where she renovated buses for those Latino kids that were at the border. And she turned these buses into these beautiful schoolrooms. If you remember seeing the pictures, and I got to speak with her for about 5-10 minutes after. I was impressed by that.
You're right. And that's what you do. When you have, top producers and top talent from all across the country, you get to choose from a good selection of people to who you want your next CEO to be.
Right.
Or not CEO, but like president, right? Because Gary's
same thing. Not CEO. You know what I mean? They're doing a lot of work.
And it's a 1-year term, and and it's good because what it does is it generates leadership roles, and it keeps the cycle going of generating new leaders over and over. So we don't get the same leader for multiple years. It's like you get the experience of leading this organization for a year, and then next year we get a new one. And
I think it's great.
And
it raises the bar. Gosh, I'm like, I got a lot of work to do if I ever want to be considered for that position.
Right.
She's accomplished a lot, and she's pretty young when you look at it.
Yeah, it helps to, get your hunger back, right?
Right.
Sometimes you get comfortable where you're at. And
It
you're
does.
like,
Complacency, not good, right? But when you surround yourself like that, you always think, sometimes you think you're doing real good till you're in a room with people who are doing it a whole nother level.
Right.
You're like, I need to step my game up. So my girl, Kristen Cole, she's like, Kevin, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you got to get a new room.
Yeah.
Right. And that's definitely a new room for sure. So, yeah, I look forward to going to San Diego as well. Let's look at some of the home ownership stats. So, the state of home ownership, the NAHREP report came out, and they were very excited that we almost hit 50% home ownership in the Latino community. I think it's 49.5.
Yep.
Right. So that's pretty big, right?
Yeah. So that's actually now came back to the level of 2007 before the crash.
Right. So they were going in the right direction back in 2007, but with that crash, it kind of put things back like everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And the Hispanic obviously have been the increasing the largest in terms of percentage. And, there's multiple reasons for that and things of that nature. But yeah, no, it was good to be there. You want to be there. And, essentially the ultimate goal is to be closer to 60, 65%. But,
right.
Trend lines are good. So
the trend lines are good. And, with a group like NAHREP, lobbying, back to DC, we had 3 powerful days of learning and people teaching and different breakout masterminds. And then on the last day, we were able to go to actual Capitol. We went to the state Capitol and met with Congress people. There was hundreds of us scouring the Capitol and meeting with different people from representatives from our state.
Yeah, and that for me, that was my first time going before we had Zooms because of the whole COVID thing.
Oh, that's true.
So it was my first time actually going physically into these offices.
Right.
And so it was just the experience in itself, just seeing where every single house has an office and this floor and that floor. And
yeah, it was hard to find
their
our way. You knew
and
your way around real good. When we were outside, you were pointing at that's that.
Oh yeah, so I was good at putting out landmarks just because I've seen them in pictures before and things of that nature. I'm like, oh, that's the Supreme Courthouse, that's the Capitol building,
I didn't
that's
know
the White
any
House.
of that stuff. So it's been a while. Back when I was a kid, I lived in Maryland, so we would have field trips there. But I was young. You don't remember all that.
Actually, I read my textbook.
It was a 1 hour bus trip for us to get there.
That's not bad. Yeah.
But that was cool, though. We met some really good people. We didn't meet with our congressman, but we got something set up. We're going to meet with them in a month. But we met with his chief of staff, I believe is what his title was.
Yep.
And he was really helpful. And we got to chop it up with him and gave him some KG swag pens.
Yeah, that was left them in his office. Yeah.
Yep, they're still using them, I bet.
Yeah, exactly.
But
nice
that
pens.
was good. So, that and this report that comes out, a lot of people are interested in it. It's not like just NAHREP gets it. It syndicates to a lot of different places.
Yeah, there's a lot of good information in there in terms of who's buying, where they're buying, what states are seeing incoming migration, which states are seeing outcoming migration, stuff in terms of the age of the buyer, their net worth, all that stuff. So stuff that, organizations would, have to pay a lot of money to get themselves on data. This is kind of basically provided for them through this, through NAHREP. And so, we want to get it out to as many people as possible. And I think one of your gads is getting it out to all the elected officials, right? And making sure they know about this report.
Yep. So we had one, and we were able to leave it with him, and then we send them out other ways now. Something that jumped out at me was how young the Hispanic homeowners are. Right. If you look at it, I think, what does it say? Where's my notes? Average age is around 30.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Where that's not, it's I don't know the exact rate. I would think it's around 36 or 37 normally.
Yeah, for non-Hispanic.
Right, for non-Hispanic, but they're creative and they're purposeful about it. They want to own home. I think a lot of time when you don't have generation after generation like most people do, where their parents own houses and their grandparents own houses, and some of them are breaking that.
Right. And so like if from personal experience, my parents came here. They were born in Mexico. They came here, in their early 20s.
Okay.
And first thing they did is work, save, work, save. And so the whole purpose was to buy the house.
Right.
Right. And so that was their primary goal. And you as kids, and this is, multiplied by millions of people across the country,
Right.
see this and they're like, okay, like they busted their butt just to get this house. And so then like it kind of instills in you, like me becoming an adult, like first thing I got to do is buy a house. Like not anything else. Like I got to buy a house first. So
Right.
me, myself, I was 22 when I bought my
That's
first house.
great. I can tell you, when
Yeah.
I was 22, I wasn't thinking about buying a house. I was being dumb and spending too much money on rentals at the beach or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. So that's kind of the just perception in terms of
Yeah.
what your environment is growing up. But
That's
yeah,
good.
but then they also get creative in how they buy. So one is they're willing to move to be able to afford a house.
Right.
So let's just say I live in Chicago. Houses are very expensive. I can't afford to buy one right now. So what am I to do? Well, a lot of them will be like, well, I'm moving. I'm not going to live in Chicago.
Yeah, and that
I'm going to go
takes a
somewhere
lot.
else and buy where I can actually buy a house.
Right.
And so you see a lot of that right now is that, the Hispanic consumer will move and just go somewhere where
I
they
find
can
that
afford
amazing
a house.
because you got to really, it's not like they all have jobs like, oh, I'm transferring my job. No, they're moving to buy a house and start new.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. That takes a lot. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, they're more willing to either buy a house with other people, whether it be their sister or their brother or with their parents,
Right.
and live under the same roof. And I didn't see that in my own house. Like we were a single household, but like I had friends and I'd go over to their house and it'd be him and his three brothers in one room.
Right.
And their house wasn't small. And I was like, well, like, why don't you guys have like your own room or whatever? He's like, oh no, because my uncle stays in this one. And my aunt stays in this one.
Right.
And it's just like, oh, okay. Like,
I remember being in a house and I was picking up. I was running restaurants at the time. He's like, KG, he talked like that. KG, come get me, because he didn't have. Something was wrong with his car, so I had to pick him up. He was like my best chef, so I was like, I need him. It's Friday night, so I went. I was like, where is he? And he's like, he's downstairs. So on the way down, I came across all these rooms and all these people. I was like, how many people live here? There must have been 12 people in there.
no, right. So,
But they were all saving. I got a perfect example of what you just said. I was at my house today, and one of my wife's best friends was there, and they're from Costa Rica. They came here, and they have like degrees like back in their country, but they don't always translate to here, right? Like they went to school, they have good degrees, and they should be able to get a nice career, but that doesn't always work in different countries, right?
exactly.
So they moved here and they started their own business. She has a cleaning business. And we've helped her get started. Being at Keller Williams with realtors, you need clean outs when people move out or move in or after construction, or just some people need a cleaner once a month. So we started to pass them around, and I would say 60% of their business is probably just Keller Williams people right now. So as they built this business, she makes, I don't know, she's making $220, $250 a year right now cleaning. But here's my point. Her sister is her partner, and only one of them could get a house right now. So Nicole was her name. So she got her house first.
Yep.
And her sister gifted her, I think, like 15 or 20,000 for her down payment. And she's like, all right, you're first. And then she's like, Kevin, look at the basement. We refinished it. So they framed it. They made some bedrooms down there. She's like, this is where we're going to live for the next year while we save our money, and we're going to buy our house next year. So back to your creative thing.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right, because they could buy a house now, but they're, while they make good money, taxes go, you pay employees. So the house they want, they're going to wait for. Like they could get approved for like 3 or something right now, right?
Yeah.
But they have a taste for a $500,000 or $600,000 house, so they're like, we're going to for a year. We're going to live here, save money, and then we're going to get our $600,000 house.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, you know, you're going to need more down payment. You're going to need more of a reserve. So all
Right.
that stuff. So it's just like,
Yeah. So
and they know what they're
creative.
doing. They, you know, they've done the homework, so you say, and they're like, okay, you know, they're making an informed decision on what they want to do. And,
Right.
And they're making it happen. Just, you
I
know,
just love it. And then, gosh, they were there today, and they just have an entrepreneurial mindset, most of them, right? Um, and then, so her husband's forming a business. So they were in my kitchen just 4 hours ago, and my wife designs web pages, and she's doing their logo and stuff. So she's helped them do theirs, and now she's helping her husband do his business, where it's going to be like doing power washing and cleaning windows outside, and stuff that adds up.
yeah.
Right.
All right,
So
I
they're
understand this.
hustlers, and
Yeah.
they work hard, and they should be rewarded with home ownership. What would you say? So Latino home ownership. I mean, this could be everybody in general, but we're not focused on that.
Yeah.
What would you say some of the barriers are that is preventing them for us getting to that 50% mark to maybe 70% quicker?
Well, you got a lot of unique things happening right now. One is, you know, the higher interest rates, which makes buying a house more expensive.
Right.
And, you know, not much you can do a lot about that. But the things that more we potentially can control is housing inventory. So obviously, you know, supply and demand. When there's little inventory, the price is going to go up. So either zoning changes to make housing, to build houses easier, more streamlined, converting zoning in terms of converting maybe an industrial to residential condos, things of that nature. All this can be done and add to the inventory supply.
What's the red tape on that?
Well, a lot of, you know, this is all more on the local level because, you know, zoning is controlled by the city, ordinances, things of that nature. And, you know, there's zoning like, oh, you can build a house, but it has to be on an acre lot or things of that nature, you know.
That
So
makes no sense.
yeah, and a lot of it, you know, fortunately sometimes, you know, it's the whole, I don't want affordability housing in my neighborhood type
Got
thing.
it.
You know, so there's things around
So
that nature.
some communities be fighting that.
Right, because they know if you're going to build a house on an acre, most likely it's going to be a
Correct.
$600,000 or $800,000 house, and that's the reasoning behind
Right.
it. So it's
Not four on
Right.
there, but one.
right, exactly.
Right, that
So,
makes sense,
so
yeah.
you know, yeah, and that's kind of what's gone away now is it's hard to find the entry level home right now,
Right.
for people because I think what you have to.
Gosh, what's the average price of Milwaukee now? Last I saw was like what, 383? Is that right?
Right.
383 or something
Right.
like that?
Yeah, and then average just like, you know, it's hard to find a
That
house.
blows my mind.
Right, it's hard to find a house under 200,000 that's in decent condition that you
Right.
can move into.
I know. I was just talking to Perry about investor. We got a lot of investors in Milwaukee, but sometimes it's in areas that maybe they don't want to live or doesn't work out for their jobs, things like that. But I mean, think about that. Entry level 383. Those 200 houses, they all usually need work.
Right. No, exactly.
Right.
And like I was fortunate, I bought my house at a decent house in decent neighborhood, for 300,000 in 2018, and that wasn't my entry level home. That was my
That was
like,
your move up.
This is my I like this house, and I'll probably be here for a long time house. You know?
Okay.
My entry level house when I bought it, it was 100,000.
Right.
So this is me moving, and then now that same house that I live in is at probably $500,000. That's like.
Gosh.
So definitely affordability in terms of that. But so things we can actually do is, you know, zoning, encouraging more building of new houses, and then, you know, directly related to house building is Hispanics are overwhelmingly the workforce in construction.
Oh,
compared
like
to
90 some percent.
No, I don't know if it's that high, but like it's
Must
way
be.
it's a lot higher. It's a lot higher than the population itself. Let's just say
Right.
that, and you know, fixing the immigration issue and having a immigration system that actually works and meets the supply and demand of the U.S. workforce
Right.
would help towards keeping costs low. One, in terms of construction and material costs and things of that nature. So
Yeah, you remind me of a stat that came up in D.C. and I might be 100,000 off, but I think it was like 1.8. There's like 1.8 or 1.9 million open jobs that could be filled that most people don't want to do that are in the United States. Do you
Yeah, I
remember
think
that stat?
Yeah, I don't know the caveat of don't want to do, but it's just like open jobs right now.
Right.
Like as of right now.
Well,
there's
if it was
yeah.
there,
Well,
people
yeah,
should be applying.
right. Yeah, and then you have so many people unemployed.
Not everybody's skilled at construction. In fact, a lot of people aren't.
Right.
Right. So yeah, you're right. The immigration system's got to get figured out.
Yeah.
'Cause we need people to be here, but
Yeah, I mean,
obviously we wanna do it
historically,
the
the
right way.
economy, every economy wants it to grow, and you can't grow an economy when you are losing population. Like
Right.
that's a very hard thing to do. Whereas if you have sensible, smart immigration system that allows your country to continue growing at a reasonable pace,
Right.
then your economy will be better for it, and
Right.
with that, everything becomes it's. A good economy kind of
yeah.
fixes a lot of issues.
Right. After all, that's what this country was about. That right. People want to work hard, have a good life, and make a better life for their family and their next generation.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like innate in humans, right? Like,
who doesn't want that?
yeah, I know, and that's the thing. People,
Right.
You can't control where you're born, I guess, and
Right.
what the circumstance you come into, and you can control your, work ethic and what you're willing to do to achieve your goals.
That's right. Other roadblocks that are out there that I think have improved a little bit but could be better, the ones that have the I-10 number, they can purchase. For a long time it was 20% down. Now you're finding some lenders that are doing 10. Sometimes there's some that do less, but I think there's hidden charges and stuff like that that makes it go back up.
I think that what that speaks to is people are realizing, oh yeah, this is actually making us money, right?
Right.
Like they're not defaulting. They're not going bad on these loans. If anything, they're probably doing better than the regular default rate. And so more and more people are coming to this realization and they're like, yeah, maybe we should do more of this.
I always wonder, I was like, is there some guy behind the cloth that just says, yes, risky, right? When they're not risky. I think, like you said, I bet they're less risky than normal loans.
Yeah, I mean, I see this all the time in my day-to-day life as a lender, where I deal with first generation immigrants, and like they scrap and they work and they pay and they hate interest. Like it's universal. It's universal that they hate interest, and I see their history and their payments, and they're just like putting extra towards it all the time, and they're the ones where because we do on the commercial side, we don't do a 30-year fixed, 30-year amortization. It's more of a 5-year term, 20-year amortization is more typical. And a lot of these people are done paying in 5 years.
Okay, that's a good stat. So they're not all getting 30-year loans. They're getting some.
On the investment side, things of that nature, when it's not their primary home.
Right.
Like when it's not their primary home. So a lot of banks will lend to I-10s on their primary home, but they won't lend to them on a secondary home.
They won't. So we still got that to get passed.
Yeah. So then, that comes on the commercial side, and on the commercial side, I've been able to do some work on that and help them on types of those loans. So
good. I like lenders that, aren't caught in like a box where you're like, if it makes sense, we should do it. Right.
Yeah. And that's, it's not me making that decision in terms of like, it's the bank, and to the bank's credit. And that's why, I've been there for 8 years, is that they take that approach.
Right. Are you seeing, so back to obstacles, we'll talk about overcoming obstacles. Are you seeing a lot of loans where maybe they have a co-signer or anything like that to help people get qualified?
Me on the commercial side don't see it too much.
Are you hearing about it anywhere?
But on the,
it seems like there's stats that are starting to talk about that. A lot of them are maybe their parents are signing because they already bought their house. Or
I do see it a lot with their children. So I do have a lot of
in reverse.
Yeah, so I see a lot of my clients when I pull their credit report and everything else. I'm like, oh, what's this mortgage? Like that wasn't, I was like, I didn't expect to see this mortgage on here.
I didn't know you had a house.
And that wasn't listed on your PFS. He was like, oh, it's because it's not my house. It's my son's house, but I just guaranteed it type thing. And so I'm like, oh, okay. But like, so I still have to like work it into the cash flow and kind of explain it and things of that nature. But so I see a lot of that
income, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I do see that. Yeah.
That's funny. It's the opposite of what you would think, but it makes sense though.
Yeah, I mean, I think parents right now do realize that it's tougher for people buying a house right now. Like this, if you don't realize that, then maybe you're out of sync. But like,
Right.
they're paying more. Interest rates are higher depending on, I'm not talking in the 80s and things of that nature, depending on how old. But like for me, if, I have an 18-year-old daughter and she's going, maybe after college, so in 4 or 5 years, maybe she'll be looking to buy a house, maybe, And if the market is still like it is today, like she has a bigger challenge than I had when I was trying to buy my
Big
house.
time.
Interest rates were lower, prices were lower.
And you got to compete against multiple offers.
Yeah, exactly. So then, if I need to maybe help her with down payment or help her with a cosign or something like that, maybe I will. But we'll cross that bridge when we do that.
It's good to have that option.
Right, and not everybody has that option. That's kind of where the disparity and equity and things like that.
Right. I have a Latino family. The mother's in Florida, and she's done that to get her kids, a stepping stone. Like so, her other daughter, we got her a house in her mom's name. It was about 3 years ago. Needed some work. They did sweat equity. The husband is good at rehabbing, and she just called me again last week. She's like, Kevin, I got that house out of my name. It's now in just her name. They refied it out, so it's in her daughter's name, which was the goal. And now her 21-year-old daughter, we're about to do the same thing for. And she's getting pre-approved, and we're starting to look at houses. So she's going to help her daughter. She just got out of college, starting her career.
Yep.
Doesn't want her renting for 2 to 4 years. She wants her in there paying a mortgage down.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and so we do get creative. I mean, we're family's really big on it for Hispanic community. I know in my family it is, and I have a sister who, went through a divorce and things of that nature. So her credit wasn't all that good, so she would never qualify to buy a house.
Right.
But I knew she worked and she paid her bills.
Solid.
And she was paying rent and rent kept going up and everything else. And I'm just like, well, why don't I just buy the house and you just pay me rent, which is the same as my mortgage payment.
Right. Yeah, because you're breaking even.
Yeah.
She's not paying a ton of rent. That way she can save some money.
And she can lock in. Like now
Right.
she's locked in at a 30-year mortgage, 30-year rate. And
Right.
the only fluctuation is the taxes.
Yeah.
Whereas with...
And then one day you'll put that in her name.
Yeah, exactly. We'll
Right.
quit claim it over and put it in her name. But
Back to the creative part.
Exactly.
You gotta be creative.
Yeah.
And that's why the home ownership rate in the Latino community goes up, because they have that mindset. They want to help each other get that. And
Yeah.
sometimes it takes one going first.
Yeah, no, that's true.
That's good.
I had an interesting conversation with someone when I was traveling, and she was from California. Now she's in Milwaukee.
Good choice, by the way.
Yeah, I said, well, what you do? And then she just said, well, there's only 3 reasons people move, and that's money, love, or family.
Money, love, or family.
It's like, what are the 3?
Was hers money?
Hers was love.
Oh, love. Because $1 million out there doesn't get you a whole lot.
Right.
Right? Man, $1 million does not get you a whole lot out there.
That explains my family. So my brother moved to San Antonio. He was the first one to go to San Antonio back in 2008. And fast forward now, my other two sisters live in San Antonio, and my mother lives in San Antonio.
Right.
And my niece and nephew live there. So they all lived here. Now they all live there. So that's another example of just how they move.
Well, what are a couple things you want to accomplish with NAHREP this year? So, like, let's say the year's over. It's end of December 2024, and we're looking back. I'm the GAD, you're the Prez. What did we accomplish?
We accomplished throwing 4 successful events.
Got one coming up next week. You people, this won't be out by then.
Yeah.
But I can tell you it's going to be great.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm the host with the most.
We're going to have a fully full board, which we have now, but we're going to have because we're going to have some drop off, because remember, we want to build up new leaders. So we'll have a good roster for the next year. And we'll have great attendance for the San Diego in terms of a chapter. So
Right.
I think you, me, Janie, and Concepcion went this year, so 4 out of the 11. So I'm hoping to have hopefully we'll have 8 people in San Diego. So.
Right. I think that trip helped me and you, after meeting all those great people, kind of have a vision of who, we want the board to be, and more importantly, what we want them to be accomplishing, right?
Yep.
We got people going out. They did their time and did their term, and we're thankful for that. And then the next ones, I think we have an opportunity to really keep this ship going in the right direction and get some really outstanding people added to it.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason why I initially joined was I wanted the Milwaukee to have its own chapter. We're a big enough city to have one. We have enough Latino representation and but just in the community keeps growing. So I thought it was important. But then just to build new leaders, keep that same the way the national does it is we want to do it at the local levels. Keep bringing other people up. And because, building that network, building that connection, building that knowledge is very important for not just individuals, but for a city in itself.
Right. It's a nice position to be in because you're in a position to change lives ultimately, and part of it helps grow your business. That's just a natural byproduct of being associated with it, and it grows you as a person, grows your leadership. I mean, I'll be speaking in front of people next week. You'll be speaking. I mean, not everybody gets that opportunity as a realtor.
Yep.
To step out and be in a leadership position on a national scale like that.
And that's the biggest thing I tell people is you can't go to an event, you can't join an organization and expect business, expect this.
Right.
It's just a natural byproduct. And if it comes immediately, if it comes midterm, if it comes long term, you'll see it. But if you just expect immediate results just from going to an event or immediate results from just joining an organization, I'm going to start getting all this business. No, that's not the way the world works.
That's never a good reason to join anything.
Right, exactly. It's not a good reason to join, but then it's not how it works either. Once people see that you're committed to something, you're doing it and everything else, just by byproduct, they're like, yeah, that guy knows what he's talking about. Yeah, I want to do business with that guy,
Right.
And just connections.
All right. Before we say goodbye to everybody, I'm going to have you on film as saying, yes, you're taking me to Game 7 for the Bucks.
Only if you wear your lucky shoes.
I did.
And they have to win tonight.
The lucky Maryland shoes. Giannis is back tonight. You guys, we'll see what happens. You'll see this in the future.
Giannis being back is not official, but it's hopeful, and I'm hoping that is correct.
Did they show any practice video?
He practiced yesterday. But that doesn't mean, he's got to be comfortable playing at 100%.
They got to put some meat on them chicken legs. I told you.
Yeah, I was going to say that or go to hyperbaric chamber for now until game time.
Right.
But yeah, if we can get it done, I'm
up on the list.
Yeah.
If the wifey doesn't go, I get to go.
I'll try to arrange to get some more tickets some way or another.
Excellent.
So, we'll see.
All right, you guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of ERG TV. KG here with Jose P. signing out. Thanks for watching.